Hey, everybody. It is Dr. Chris here. So if you're out there, say hey. I'm so excited that you are joining me here. This is my very first YouTube Live on my new series, Optimal Health, Optimal Life. And it is a compendium of information I have been exposed to for over 30 years as a chiropractor in Los Angeles who specializes in pediatrics and pregnancy and helps kids with childhood developmental disorders. Um, I help women with fertility. I help families. So, a lot of what I'm telling you are things that I have said probably a million times, but I want to share them with you because it is a new decade. And I think that we really need to work together and help my goal is to help families grow up healthy. So, I want to be here for you. And I'm going to give you some tips that you can put into effect today because I know all of you are diamonds in the rough, just waiting to be buffed so you can shine really bright. So let's just dive right into it. Just a little bit about me and kind of how I came into all of this because I didn't grow up with things like chiropractic and a lot of the natural means that we have today, or at least that I'm exposed to. This is a learning journey, and there are so many things out there that we can utilize to keep ourselves healthy and well. But I became a chiropractor because my experience at age 12 with my dad having a heart attack meant that my little 12-year-old brain put together that our lives, our lifestyle changed after his heart attack, after he came home. And he was only 32, by the way, so it wasn't like he was, old or anything, but he started walking, our diet changed. He's quit smoking. So I took in all these things that the things that we do in our life actually can help us be healthier. And I want to be proactive about it. I don't want you guys to have heart attacks and have to do this after. I don't want you to have things like cancer. But these things are what's killing people. And so I want you to start today. And even if you do one thing a day, you are going to help put things into your health savings account, the health savings account that only you can do, rather than taking things out, because really everything you do in your life is either going to add or subtract. There's really nothing neutral, right? So we are going to start with these 7 facets of optimal health. And I love the number 7. Also, those of you know me, one of my kids is named 7, right? So I've always loved the number 7. And I wanted to use the term facet because of all its different meanings and just the fact that I love gemstones. And yeah, so that's a little bit about me. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to be here too long. I know you guys are busy. So let's just delve right into sleep and circadian rhythms. So what's happening now, because we have artificial light, is we can extend our day to be so long, right? We can work into the wee hours of the night and feel like we're productive and getting things done. But what you're really doing is you are robbing yourself of a chance to rejuvenate and renew. And believe it or not, researchers are proving this. They have affirmed that adults need at least 7 hours a night, 7 to 9 of good quality sleep. And there's a difference between getting sleep. So from midnight to 7 is not the same as, say, from like 10 to 5 or 6. You get a more restful sleep. The earlier you go to bed, You're able to get a deeper sleep that's more rejuvenating. So that is the first thing, is that you want to try to get to bed earlier tonight. And you can do that in little increments. You don't have to go from going to bed at midnight to 10 o'clock all at once. You can do it little by little and slowly start to shift that. The other thing is that you want a bedroom that's completely dark, and you want to remove all your electronics. So no going to bed with your phones and your iPads and your computers. You want all of those out of the bedroom if possible, or put them on airplane mode, or even better, turn off the whole Wi-Fi at night. Okay, so that's just a little bit about sleep. We're going to talk more about these things in depth as the weeks go on. The second one is nutrition and hydration. So what you're eating and drinking does matter. Now, I want to talk about hydration first, because hydration is more important really than eating. You can go longer without food than you can without water. We are around 60% of our bodies made of water, so we do need water. And the way you can tell how much you need approximately is take your body weight, divide it by 2, and that's how many ounces you need a day minimum. Okay, so if you're 200 pounds, divide by 2, it's 100. So you need 100 ounces of water a day. And so typically we look at an 8-ounce glass. So you would need, oh my God, it's more than 10. It's more like 12 glasses a day, right? So yeah, do the math, get the brain moving. We'll talk about that in a second too. The other thing is that if you are drinking things like caffeine, so colas or coffee, caffeinated tea, chocolate, that's going to dehydrate you. So you need to drink even more water if you're drinking those things. Now, as far as food, now this is a huge topic. We're going to talk more next week about optimal diet for health and longevity. But in general, first of all, try to eat as clean as possible. So that means organic, non-GMO, pesticide-free. Shopping at your farmers markets, you can ask the farmers what they're using, if they're using anything. So you can get a lot of information that way. Or you can go to your store and buy these things. But I always try to do local as much as possible. All right, you want to try and eat as unprocessed as possible. So there's a range of processed foods, right? So you can get something like nuts in a package that are maybe roasted. That's, depending on the oils, that's sort of minimally processed. And then you start talking about things like packaged cookies and cakes and candies and that type of thing, right? That's super highly processed. And it doesn't really necessarily, people go, well, if it's more than 5 ingredients, or if it's you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't eat it. Well, yeah, that's a good guideline. But basically, you want to try and make your food at home, using plants, vegetables, whole foods, as low on the food chain as possible, because the higher you go up in the food chain, the more possibilities you have of concentrating toxins like heavy metals and PCBs and dioxins, which are hormone disrupting. So try to take all that in. The other thing is that you really want to eat foods that are low in sugar. So if you are looking at a package, you want to look for that sugar content, and you really want to keep that as low as possible. Added sugar is so deleterious. It's one of those things that's going to grab from your bank account and just yank all that good stuff out. What else do I want to say? We'll talk a little bit more about having windows of eating and restricted windows of eating and that type of thing. The other thing I would say that's really important are essential fatty acids, because you cannot make these things. You have to take them in your diet. Most of you are thinking of things like fish, but the fish get their DHA from algae. So there are algae components that you can actually get in your diet. And then for omega-3s, you can be eating nuts and seeds and that type of thing, which will supply you with your essential fats in the omega-3 department. More on that next week. So you're going to have to wait on that. So this next one is kind of huge. It's a sort of a big topic that I put together. So emotional, social, and spiritual connection. And this is huge because there's so much going on now. I see so many people who are coming in that have anxiety and depression and all these issues. And they kind of go along with the physical because our thoughts and feelings impact our physical health. We can store, believe it or not, we can store emotions in our body tissues. For instance, I had a patient come in. She's like, as soon as I leave here, I am going to go to urgent care. And I was like, what's going on? She seemed perfectly fine to me, as you know, in general. And she said, I think it's my kidneys are bugging me. So I did the kidney punch. It was negative. And then I can test and see if there's any emotional stress that's being stored in the body. And I found that there were some emotions stored in her kidneys. And I helped her release those, and her kidney pain went away. And it had to do with her job and not being fulfilled in her job. And it was kind of evident to her that she needed to make a career change, believe it or not. And when she did, the pain completely went away. So this is a sort of drastic example, but it's illustrating that what we're thinking really affects what our body is doing, because it can release our stress hormones. It can really wreak havoc on our bodies. And so we can't separate the mind and the body. We have to work with them all together. But there are some things that you can do, and I'll talk a little bit in a moment about some deep breathing. But first of all, find someone to work with who can help support your mental and emotional health. It can be a traditional therapist or counselor or psychologist, but it can also be somebody who might do some things like EMDR, or I do Neuro Emotional Technique, or using essential oils with aroma freedom technique. That's another thing I do. Using art journaling, or journaling in a book and writing things down. So many things you can do. If you have, if we're all spiritual beings, but if you have a certain spiritual practice, you might want to do that. Using meditation or prayer, or even just connecting with people socially. And so I'm not talking about on social media. I'm talking about actually meeting with people, like in person, putting your phones away and having that connection. And there's a whole thing to do with touch as well, that even just a touch on the shoulder or the back, or a hug, it creates a positive feeling within our bodies. So just as negative feelings that can create negative things going on, the converse happens when we have positive feelings. So again, we're going to be talking way more about that in the future. So that leads me into the breathing, and we need air, right? We can only last 4 minutes without air, then our brain dies, and that's it. So this is so super important to our health, but something we don't think about. And most of us are breathing up here at the top of the chest. Well, our lungs go all the way down to the bottom of our ribs. So you really want to practice belly breathing. And the best way to do that, all right, let's do it together. I'm going to lower this so you can see. Okay, so my hands on my belly. Is first I like to exhale and push all my air out. That's the best way to do it. So my belly's squeezing in towards my spine. And then as I inhale, my belly expands. So all the air is going way deep down, really hard to do while you're talking. And then as I exhale, I pull my navel in towards my spine. So I like to do a pattern of 4 counts in. So a deep breath in is a count of 4. And then as I exhale, it's for a count of 8. So it's longer, and you can really pull your belly in towards your spine. Sometimes I'll do a deep breath in for 4, hold it for 4, and exhale for 8. There's a lot of different breathing patterns. There's no right or wrong. But the thing is, you want to breathe in through your nose, and that way it's calming your brain. If you breathe in through your mouth, you are, first of all, it's going to be very dry. And second of all, it can be very alarming. So you want to breathe in through your nose. And whether you breathe out through your nose or out through your mouth, I don't care, whatever works for you. But this is a way to get air into your body, and you can set a timer on your phone to make sure you're doing it maybe every, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 minutes, just taking a few deep breaths, or maybe every time you get up to get a drink of water or use the restroom. So having this occur throughout the day is going to be helpful. And if you practice meditation, you can even incorporate it in that. Now, I mentioned getting up. So sitting is the new smoking. You guys, the life expectancy for kids today is less than for my generation. So we're going backwards. We're being way too sedentary, and our brains are developed. They're designed for movement. And when we don't move, it basically everything goes to hell, right? You just start deteriorating and decaying. So you've got to get up and move. We're designed for it. So again, do what you got to do. Set a timer, put sticky notes all over, walk instead of driving your car, park at the far end of the lot, use the stairs. I don't care what you do, whatever it's going to take for you guys, you got to get up and you got to move. Again, we're going to go into, I believe it's in 2 weeks, we're going to go into physical movement a little bit more. So it's movement to maintain your health and longevity, because there is a connection. All right, let's go to spinal hygiene and brain function. I kind of put those together because our brain controls every single thing in the body. This is the chiropractic philosophy. So it's right here. Whatever, if we have any blockages to our brain sending those signals to the rest of the body, it's not going to work. So everything needs brain input, or it will not work optimally. That is the key. It may be able to work sort of, but not so great. An extreme example of this are paralyzed people, right? They've got some sort of blockage, something severed, and from below that area, they cannot move. They can't use their limbs, their organs aren't working properly, and they need assistance in so many different ways. So this isn't as drastic, but it just illustrates that if we don't have proper connection between our brain and the rest of the body, then we're not going to be able to function as well. This includes posture. So posture is a lot of time I'm seeing a lot of slouching because people aren't using their back core. And when we talk about physical movement, I'm going to talk about the core, because if you don't have proper posture, you're not going to be getting proper oxygenation. You're not going to have perfect alignment. You're going to put stress on your spine, which is then going to put stress on the rest of your body. Now, your brain and your mind, the development is it's got to occur as a kid, but you've got to keep using your brain as you get older. And if you do not use your brain, you're going to lose it. And Alzheimer's, dementia, and this type of thing is occurring rapidly. This is only part of the story. The next part is toxins, and we're going to talk a little bit about that for a few minutes. But use your brain, join a book club, do a puzzle, brain teasers, challenges, intellectual conversation. Use your brain. Don't just veg it. Okay, last but not least, I have toxins as my last facet, because here's the thing. You can be putting all sorts of good things in. You can be doing the sleep and the eating and the brain and the chiropractic adjustments. You're going every week. But if you're putting all the good things in, but you're also doing things that are poisoning your body, then you're going to be in big trouble, because you're going to accumulate. It's called bioaccumulation. And believe it or not, our kids are actually more at risk because they're smaller. Their size is smaller. So I'm going to throw out a list of things. We're going to talk definitely more about these in depth. Number one, huge on my list, are EMFs. So, as I said, turn your phones off, your electronics off, your Wi-Fi off, get the phone out and your iPad out of your bedroom. Put it on airplane mode when it's on your body. Preferably don't put it on your body. Do not use Bluetooth ear things because your brain is right there. Don't hold your phone up to your ear. Use the speaker, use wired headsets. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to get into that more. It's huge on my list. Other things, as I said, do organic, pesticide-free, GMO-free. GMOs are huge. They're creating huge health problems for us. I mean, I can't even tell you the health problems I've seen since GMOs, since the increase in GMOs and vaccines. Those two things have created a huge sort of problems. Watch what you're using in your house for household cleaners. Watch what you're putting on your body for beauty products, body care products, soaps and shampoos and lotions. All that stuff gets absorbed right into your bloodstream within seconds. So if I can, I'll put a link on here to ewg.org. Go on there, look at your products, household and body care, and see what they're rated. Because the more you're exposed to those toxins over time, the more you're going to take away from your health savings account. What else? Teflon, aluminum, microwaves, radiation, heavy metals. Watch your fish, okay? There's a lot of heavy metals in fish as well as hormone disrupting chemicals. Plastics. Oh my God, plastics. We can't live without them. They're everywhere, but please have discretionary use. Get rid of your plastic bags. Stop wrapping things in plastics. Definitely don't freeze or microwave with them because it puts the chemicals right in there. Molds, viruses, medications, vaccines for sure, guys. Can't even tell you. They keep increasing the schedule without checking them. We're going to talk more about that because it's a big, huge subject, and it's really affecting our kids' health. So I am going to close here. I thank you for sticking with me. I try to keep these as short as possible, but there's so much information. I don't want to miss out on anything on telling you something. So you can certainly please subscribe so that you get notifications when I'm going live. And if you have any questions or comments, put them out there and I will do what I can to answer them. All right, until next week, you guys, you've got some homework to do. So start working on some of these, some things so that you too can have optimal health and an optimal life. Good night.